What He Thinks Day by Day When You Go Silent. I am Bonang Matheba, and tonight I'm pulling up a chair right next to you, sis, the way we do when the house is quiet and the wine is breathing. I want to talk about the exact moment you decided to go silent. Not the dramatic door slamming kind of silence, the soft, final, almost holy kind. It usually happens on an ordinary night. Maybe you're lying in bed, phone glowing in the dark, thumb hovering over a paragraph you've already rewritten 12 times. You've begged, you've explained, you've shrunk yourself into footnotes trying to make him understand how you feel. And tonight, something inside you just exhales. You delete the whole message, turn the screen face down, and for the first time in months, maybe years, you don't send the goodnight text. You don't check if he's online. You don't refresh the chat to see if those 3 dots appear. You simply close your eyes and let the silence wrap around you like the most expensive silk robe you've ever owned. That's day 0, baby girl. That's the night you chose yourself when choosing him. Stopped feeling like love and started feeling like slow suicide. You're not plotting revenge, you're not playing games, you're just done auditioning for a role he never intended to give you. You're done watering a plant that was never planted in soil that wanted to grow anything for you. And in that stillness, while your heart is still racing from the decision, you feel something brand new, peace that doesn't need his permission. You fall asleep without the ache of waiting, and the next morning you wake up a little lighter, like you finally put down luggage you've been carrying so long, you forgot it wasn't part of your body. That single night of chosen silence is the quietest revolution you will ever start. And girl, it is beautiful. Day 1 is when he still thinks it's cute. He wakes up, stretches, scrolls past the empty notification screen, and smirks. In his head, it plays like a movie he's seen 100 times. You're mad, you're pouting somewhere in pretty pajamas, waiting for him to notice and come fix it with the usual half apology and just enough attention to reset the cycle. He sends a lazy morning or maybe nothing at all, because in his mind, the ball has always been in your court to reach out first. He's so used to you softening the edges for him, reminding him he matters, planning the dates, asking about his day, carrying the emotional weight of 2 people on one set of shoulders. He genuinely believes your silence is a tantrum with an expiration date. He laughs about it with the boys. Man, she's in her feelings again, give her 24 hours. He posts a shirtless gym selfie because he knows it'll hit your feet and make you cave. He's still operating from the old script where your love was the constant and his effort was the occasional guest star. He has no idea the credits have already rolled on that version of the story. He has no clue that this time when you didn't answer, you weren't holding your breath. You were breathing out years of exhaustion. Day 1 belongs entirely to his ego. And ego is loud. Ego is cocky. Ego is convinced it's irreplaceable. He goes to sleep that night, unbothered, maybe even a little smug, thinking tomorrow you'll be back with the heart emojis and the I miss you that always made him feel 10 feet tall without having to stand all the way up. He has no idea that tomorrow isn't coming for him the way it used to. The throne he never had to earn just got empty, and he's too busy admiring himself in the mirror to notice the crown slipped off and rolled under the bed where he'll be looking for it soon enough. By day 3, the smirk is gone. He wakes up to another morning with no good morning text from you, no little voice note, no don't forget to eat reminder. That's when the first real crack shows up. He sends something casual, you good? And watches the message flip to delivered and stay there. No typing bubbles, no read receipt if you're extra savage and turn them off, just nothing. And nothing is starting to feel like something. He tells himself you're busy, you're with friends, you're teaching him a lesson, whatever story lets him keep the upper hand in his own mind. But by lunchtime, he's checking your Instagram story, even though he swore he never does that. By evening, he's opening old chats, scrolling up further than he has in months, rereading conversations where you poured your heart out and he answered with lol or a basketball emoji. That's the first moment the silence stops being background noise and starts sounding like a heartbeat he forgot he had. He starts wondering if you're really okay, if something happened to you, if he should be worried instead of annoyed. His pride and his fear are wrestling now, and pride is still winning, but it's sweating. He sends a second message, a little longer this time, still playful, but with an edge of actual question mark energy. It lands in the same void. He puts the phone down harder than he means to. For the first time in a long time, he feels the temperature drop in a room you're not even in. Day 3 is when the absence moves in and starts rearranging the furniture in his chest. He's not ready to call it regret yet. He's calling it annoyance, calling it curiosity, calling it anything except what it really is. The slow realization that the one person who made his world softer just turned the lights down low and walked out without a fight. And the scariest part? You're not storming out, you're floating out. Quiet, dignified, head high, and that quiet is louder than any argument you ever had. Day 3 ends with him staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m., phone still dark, telling himself tomorrow he won't check first. But we both know tomorrow he's going to check before his feet even hit the floor. Because silence, real silence, from a woman who used to fill every corner with love, has a way of turning a man's own heartbeat into the loudest sound in the room. 7 days in, baby, and the calendar just became his enemy. He wakes up and the first thing he does is reach for the phone like it's an inhaler, because for years your little good morning handsome or that sunshine emoji was his oxygen. Now the screen is blank and the silence has teeth. He's not laughing with the boys anymore. He's dodging their questions. Nah, we good, he says, but his voice catches on the lie. He's doing the math in his head. 7 mornings without you starting his day. 7 nights without you ending it. That's a whole week of life that used to feel wrapped in you and now feels naked. He starts noticing the small deaths. No more random memes at 2 p.m. just because you knew he needed a laugh. No more drive safe when he posted he was on the road. No more playlists landing in his DMs titled, "This made me think of you." All those tiny stitches you used to sew into his everyday are gone, and the bleeding won't stop. He opens Spotify and sees the collaborative playlist you two had. Your last edition was 3 weeks ago, right before everything cracked. He presses play anyway, and the first song guts him because it's the one you played on repeat the night he told you he was too busy to come over. He sits on the edge of the bed with his head in his hands, and for the first time, the word forever flashes across his mind. Not as a promise, but as a threat. Forever without this softness you gave so freely? He's not ready for that kind of cold. By nightfall, he's drafting paragraphs. He deletes immediately because nothing sounds right when the person who used to finish his sentences isn't there to read them. Day 7 is when the silence stops being a tactic he thinks you're using and starts being a home you've moved out of. Lock, stock, and all the warmth he never bothered to help carry in. The week without your good morning text teaches him something you never could with words, some luxuries you don't appreciate until the bill comes due and the lights go out. 14 days, 2 whole weeks, and the man is unraveling in slow motion. Tonight he's on the couch with a drink he's barely touched because the ice melted an hour ago while he's been scrolling. He's gone so far back in the chat that the messages have that old blue-gray color, back when everything was new and you were still using 10 heart emojis in a row. He's reading like a crime scene investigator looking for the exact moment it went wrong. There it is, the night you wrote, "I feel like I'm always the one trying," and he answered, "You're overthinking," with a laughing emoji. There's the time you said, "I need more from you," and he sent a voice note of him yawning, literally yawning. Then, "We'll talk tomorrow." Tomorrow never came. He keeps finding these landmines you stepped over just to stay close to him, and every single one detonates in his chest now. He gets to the stretch where you started saying, "I'm tired" more than "I love you," and he realizes he trained you to apologize for having needs. He sees the exact day the paragraphs got shorter, the exact day you stopped saying "baby" and started saying his government name like a warning. He's crying, actual tears hitting the screen, smearing the words he was too busy to read when they were fresh. He types, "I see it now," and almost sends it, then remembers you taught him actions over words, and he never learned the language. He closes the phone, presses it to his forehead like he's praying for a do-over that isn't coming. Day 14 is the night the past becomes a horror movie he starred in without realizing he was the villain. The messages he ignored when they were light now weigh 1,000 pounds each in the dark, and the only thing louder than your old pleas is the silence where your new ones should be. 21 days, 3 weeks, a whole new season inside his body, and now the silence is following him into sleep. He dreams you're sitting on the passenger side of his car like you used to, singing off-key to songs only you knew all the words to. And when he turns to laugh with you, the seat is empty, the seatbelt still warm. He wakes up gasping, heart racing, like he just ran from something that isn't chasing him anymore because it already left. The dreams keep coming. You walking away in slow motion while he's stuck in place, mouth open but no sound. You at a cafe laughing with friends, and he's outside the window pressing his hand to the glass, but you never look up. Every morning he wakes up reaching for a body that isn't there, and the ache is so physical he has to check the sheets to make sure he didn't actually bleed out in the night. He starts bargaining in the dark. If he calls right now, will you pick up? If he shows up at your door with every apology he never gave you, will you let him back into the country of your heart? But daylight comes and pride tapes his mouth shut again. He's losing weight, not eating right, because food tastes like nothing when the flavor of you is gone. Friends notice, ask what's wrong, and he says, I'm good through a jaw so tight it might crack. The dreams are mercy and punishment in the same breath, showing him in technicolor what his waking hours are trying to numb. Day 21 is when the silence finally climbs into bed with him and refuses to leave, whispering your name in a voice that sounds exactly like the one he trained himself not to hear when you were still using it to call him home. 3 weeks without you has turned his subconscious into a haunted house, and the only ghost is the version of himself that knew how to love you out loud when it still mattered. 30 days, sis. A whole month without your voice, your laugh, your energy holding his world together, and tonight the dam finally breaks. He's sitting in his car outside the gym. He hasn't actually worked out in for weeks, thumbs shaking as he types the longest message he's ever written anyone. It's not the lazy my bad he used to throw like loose change. This one starts with your full name, the way you always said nobody ever uses anymore, and then it paused. He tells you he sees it now. Every time he made you feel small. Every time he chose pride over presence. Every time he let you fall asleep crying because answering you felt like work. He admits he reread everything, that he hears your voice in his head saying, I just want to feel chosen, and how he never chose you back. Not really. He says he's sorry for the nights he left you on red while he was laughing with the boys, sorry for the birthdays he forgot until the day after, sorry for teaching you that love could feel like begging. He ends it with, I get it if you never reply. I just needed you to know I finally heard you. The message sits in your phone like a small earthquake. You read it once, twice, 10 times, and something inside you stays perfectly still. Because here's the truth, he still doesn't fully grasp. This apology isn't for you anymore. You already forgave yourself for staying too long. You already released the need for him to understand. That text is for him, a confession in an empty church where the only person left to absolve him is himself. You don't answer not out of cruelty, but because answering would pull you back into a story whose last chapter you already closed with grace. Day 30 is the first time he says sorry and actually means it, but it's also the first time you realize your healing doesn't live in his mouth anymore. Some apologies arrive right on time for the person giving them, and 30 days too late for the person they were meant to save. 45 days, and the universe starts showing him receipts. He's on Instagram at 1 a.m. The way people check the fridge knowing nothing new is in there. And there you are, in a photo someone else posted, laughing so hard, your eyes are almost closed, head thrown back, skin catching golden hour like you invented light. The caption is simple, something about good vibes and better people, but the comments underneath are what got him. Friends calling you queen, fire emojis from women who look like they've never cried over a man a day in their life, and a couple of soft launch arms around your waist that aren't his. He zooms in like a detective until the pixels blur. You're wearing the smile he hasn't seen since the early days, the one that used to be his private property. Now it belongs to rooms he isn't invited to nights that end with someone else making sure you get home safe. He scrolls your page and every new picture is a small knife. You at brunch with bottomless mimosas, you on a rooftop with wind in your hair, you in a dress that says, I dressed up for me tonight. The glow up isn't even dramatic. It's quiet, expensive, peaceful. It's the kind of radiance that comes from sleeping through the night without wondering if he's thinking about you. He keeps refreshing, waiting for the sadness to show up in your face the way it lives in his, but it never does. You look rested, you look free. That's when panic sets in for real, because he finally understands the silence wasn't punishment, it was surgery. You cut him out clean so the infection couldn't spread, and now you're healing in ways he can see from the outside while he's still bleeding on the inside. Day 45 is the day he realizes you didn't just go quiet, you went and built a whole new frequency he no longer has the range to hear. Some women don't come back louder, they come back brighter. And brightness has a way of making darkness admit what it really is. 60 days, 2 full months, and the lesson finally lands all the way down in his bones. He's stopped texting altogether because every unanswered message feels like throwing pebbles at a house that's been sold to someone who actually tends the garden. He's walking around with the realization that your silence wasn't the absence of noise. It was the presence of everything you decided not to give him anymore. Every unsent paragraph, every tear you swallowed, every never mind you said when he brushed you off, all of it lived in that quiet. Your silence was full of boundaries finally drawn in ink instead of pencil, full of self-respect you used to loan out interest-free, full of a future you started planning without him in it. He gets it now. You didn't go silent because you ran out of words. You went silent because you ran out of reasons to keep translating your heart into a language he refused to learn. He sees women everywhere who look like they've never had to beg a man to see them, and he understands you joined their ranks. He catches himself wanting to tell you about his day and remembers there's no soft place to land anymore. The hardest part isn't that you're gone, it's that you're clearly, undeniably, okay, without him, maybe even better. That's the moment humility moves in permanently. He stops calling it losing you and starts calling it forcing you to save yourself. Day 60 is when he finally grasps that your silence was never punishment. It was protection, promotion, prayer, and goodbye, all in one breath. And the deepest cut of all, you didn't need him to understand it while it was happening. You just needed to do it. 60 days later, he's the one learning how to live with the echo, while you, beautiful, have already turned the page and started writing in colors he'll never get to touch. 90 days, 3 whole seasons of silence, and the transformation is complete on both sides of the story. He is not the same man who smirked on day 1. He wakes up early now, makes his bed, goes to therapy even when he doesn't feel like talking, deleted the dating apps he used to keep just in case, and learned how to ask his mum how her day really was instead of waiting for her to ask about his. He listens when his friends talk about their feelings instead of changing the subject to sports. He apologizes quickly and means it. He shows up on time. He texts back. He became, quietly and without an audience, the man you used to pray he would become while you were still holding the phone, waiting for the old version to care. And the cruel, beautiful poetry of it all is that you are no longer there to receive the upgrade. You are somewhere laughing too loud at a joke that has nothing to do with him planning a trip you paid for with money you used to spend on his last-minute I forgot gifts, falling asleep with the window open because you finally trust peace to stay the night. You are living in the future he delayed, wearing the confidence he postponed, loving yourself with the intensity he withheld. Some nights he still drives past the coffee shop you used to meet at, hoping and dreading he'll see you, knowing if he does, he'll just nod and keep walking, because the right to pull up a chair beside you expired the day you chose yourself. He finally understands that your silence was the loudest love letter you ever wrote him, written in the only language that could get through: consequence. And you, sweet girl, you are the living proof that a woman can lose a man and still find every missing piece of herself along the way. There are 2 endings to this story, and both are true. Some men wake up for good. They carry the scar of your absence like a tattoo that reads never again, and they love the next woman and every woman after with the reverence they should have shown you. Others stay stuck, telling anyone who will listen how she changed or it came out of nowhere, never admitting the truth that you didn't change, you just stopped shrinking. Either way, you win. Because the woman who walks out of that silence is never the same one who walked in. She is taller, softer in the right places, harder in the right places, glowing from the inside out. She knows her worth isn't negotiable anymore. She knows love doesn't have to feel like chasing, begging, or background music to someone else's life. She becomes the standard instead of the exception. And years from now, when someone asks her how she learned to love herself so fiercely, she'll smile and say, it started with 90 days of not explaining herself to someone who never listened in the first place. So here we are, sis, at the end. That was never really an end, just a beginning with better lighting. Your silence didn't break him, it broke the cycle. And in the breaking, it built you into the woman little girls will one day point to and say, I want to be that kind of strong when I grow up. That is the legacy of the quiet you chose. That is the gift you gave yourself that keeps on giving long after his name stops hurting to say out loud. You turn the pain into power, the tears into territory, the heartbreak into holy ground. And somewhere out there, a man is finally learning how to love, right? Because you loved yourself enough to walk away until he did. If this spoke to even one corner of your heart tonight, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, drop a comment with the day number that hit you the hardest, like so your girls can find this when they need it most, and share it with the sister who's sitting in her silence right now, trying to decide if she's strong enough to keep going. We heal out loud together, and I'm not going anywhere. See you in the next one, Queen. Keep choosing you.